In a galaxy that has known peace for 10,000 years, the old horrors have returned. An ancient empire, a fleet of 2 million warships, has come to reclaim what was once theirs. Civilizations with godlike technology and millennia of wisdom have a simple plan: run. They will evacuate. They will surrender. They will negotiate. It is the civilized way. But in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Assembly, the newest, most primitive members have just been given the same choice. And their answer will shake the foundations of the galaxy. Why does a species with only a few hundred ships choose to stand against an enemy that has crushed empires? What forgotten knowledge does humanity possess that the most advanced races in the galaxy have lost? And what happens when a civilization built on peace is forced to witness a species that has perfected the art of war? Galactic Council shocked. Humans are going to battle. Before we begin, the signal grows stronger with every subscription. Support our mission by subscribing and liking this video, so these stories can be heard across the void. Alright, let's begin the story. Then, Ambassador Eva Rostova sat in her office aboard the human diplomatic station when the emergency signal came through. The alert was a deep, pulsing crimson she had never seen before. It bypassed all standard protocols, a Priority 1 summons from the highest authority in the galaxy. A hologram shimmered into existence above her desk. It was the face of Archon Vex of the Crystalline Concord. The being's usually bright blue, internal glow was dim, flickering with agitation. Ambassador Rostova. Vex's voice came through the translator, sharp and laced with something that sounded like fear. You must come to the assembly chambers immediately. We have called an emergency session. All species representatives are required to attend. Eva stood, her diplomatic calm a carefully constructed mask. What's wrong, Archon? Has something happened? The Forlag ascendancy has returned, Vex said, the words falling like stones. They are coming back to reclaim their old territories. We have very little time. The hologram vanished, leaving Eva staring at the empty air. The Forlag. She had read about them in the restricted historical archives. An ancient, hyper-aggressive empire that had ruled this arm of the galaxy thousands of years ago. They were a ghost story, a cautionary tale told to young civilizations about the dangers of unchecked power. Most scholars believe they were extinct, a civilization that had burned itself out in its own furious expansion. They were wrong. Eva grabbed her formal jacket and rushed to the transport bay. The journey to the assembly chambers took 30 minutes. It felt like an eternity. Her mind raced. How are they still alive? What do they want? And why is everyone so scared? The chambers were already full when she arrived. Representatives from dozens of species filled the curved, tiered seats. The air buzzed with nervous energy, a cacophony of worried conversations in 100 different languages. Eva took her place in the small human section and looked around. The Lyrans sat in their crystal chairs, their bodies dim with worry. The Signans floated in their energy fields, their anxious thoughts creating visible waves in the air around them. The insect-like Thar clicked their mandibles nervously. Archon Vex called for order, his voice echoing through the chamber. Fellow beings of the Galactic Assembly, he began. We face a crisis unlike any in our recent history. Long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet approaching our outer systems. The ships carry the markings of the Forlag ascendancy. A wave of pure, undiluted fear passed through the chamber. Several species representatives made audible sounds of distress. How many ships? Asked Counselor Vexani of the Signans. Our initial scans show over 2 million vessels, Vex replied, his voice heavy. Their technology appears to be far in advance of what our records show. They have been gone for 3,000 years, but they have not been idle. Eva felt her heart skip a beat. 2 million ships. Earth's entire space navy, the pride of human engineering, consisted of 347 combat-capable vessels. What do they want? Asked the Lyran representative, his voice a series of soft chimes. They have sent a simple, single message, Vex said. The chamber's main holoprojector FL. Ickered to life, showing the Forlag symbol, a coiled, predatory serpent. They demand the return of all territories that once belonged to their empire. They have given us 30 standard days to evacuate these systems. The chamber erupted in panicked voices. That includes the entire Cygnus arm. Our primary colonies are in that territory. We must begin evacuation at once. Eva listened with growing amazement. No one was talking about fighting back. No one mentioned resistance or defense. They were all planning to run or to give the Forelag whatever they wanted. Surely we can negotiate, said Counselor Mork of the hegemony. What do they want in return for peace? Resources? Technology? We can offer tribute. The message was very clear, Vex replied grimly. They want their old territory back. All of it. That includes systems where over 40 billion beings currently live. Eva could not stay silent any longer. What about our defense fleets? She asked, her voice clear and strong. The chamber fell quiet. All eyes turned to her. Several species representatives looked confused, as if they didn't understand the question. Defense fleets, repeated Archon Vex. Ambassador Rostova, our patrol ships are for exploration and rescue operations. They are not equipped for combat. But surely we have some military capability, Eva pressed. Some way to defend ourselves against an invasion? The Signan representative, Vexani, floated closer. Ambassador, I believe there may be a translation error. What do you mean by military? Eva stared at them. Open-mouthed. Armed forces. Warships. Weapons designed to fight other ships. The chamber remained silent. A vast, echoing silence filled with incomprehension. She could see the confusion on their faces. Some species had never even heard these concepts before. Others looked at her with what seemed like pity, as if she were a disturbed child speaking of imaginary monsters. My dear human, said Archon Vex gently, his tone that of an adult explaining a fundamental truth to a child. We are civilized beings. We do not engage in violence. When faced with a superior force, we negotiate or relocate. It is the way of advanced species. To fight would be primitive. But what if they won't negotiate? Eva asked, her mind struggling to process this pacifist reality. What if they just take what they want anyway? Then we adapt, replied the Cthar representative. We find new homes. We survive as refugees rather than risk extinction through futile resistance. Eva looked around the chamber. These were some of the most advanced species in the galaxy. They had technology that seemed like magic to humans. They could travel faster than light, manipulate matter, and communicate across vast distances instantly. But they had no concept of fighting back. They had forgotten how. Or perhaps they had never learned. What does humanity contribute to the evacuation effort? Asked Mork. Your species controls several systems that the Forelag will undoubtedly want. Eva thought about Earth. About the billions of humans who called the Sol system home. She thought about the colonies on Mars and Europa, the research outposts near Jupiter. All of human civilization, abandoned. No, she said quietly. I'm sorry. Vex leaned forward. The translation system may have made an error. Eva stood up straighter, her voice growing stronger, ringing with a resolve the chamber had never heard before. I said, no, we're not evacuating. We're not running away. And we are not surrendering our homes to these Forelag. The chamber buzzed with confused whispers. Several representatives activated their personal translation devices, certain there was a malfunction. Then what will you do? Asked Vexani. Eva looked around the chamber. She met the eyes of species that had never known war, that had never faced an enemy that couldn't be reasoned with or bought off. They had forgotten something that humanity had never been allowed to lose. We're going to fight them, she said. The chamber fell completely, utterly silent. The only sound was the low hum of the life support systems. Eva could see the pure shock on their faces. Some looked horrified. Others looked as if she had spoken in an ancient, dead language they couldn't possibly understand. Archon Vex was the first to speak. His voice was very gentle, the way someone talks to a person who doesn't understand danger. Ambassador Rostova, he said, I don't think you understand. The Forelag fleet has 2 million ships. They have weapons that can destroy planets. They are an empire that once conquered half the galaxy. I understand perfectly, Eva replied. But running away isn't an option for us. This is our home. These are our people. If someone wants to take that from us, they're going to have to fight for it. The chamber remained quiet. Then Mork spoke, his voice filled with what sounded like profound sadness. So, humanity chooses extinction over exile. It is a tragic, but perhaps noble, end to your species. We will remember you in our histories. Eva smiled grimly. Don't write our obituary just yet, counselor. As she sat back down, she activated her personal communicator, opening a secure, encrypted channel to Earth. Humanity had 30 days to prepare for the biggest fight in its history. The emergency session continued for 6 hours. The other species simply could not understand humanity's decision. They kept asking the same questions, as if the answers would suddenly make sense. During a short break, Eva found herself surrounded by concerned aliens in the corridor. They looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and pity, like scientists studying a strange but doomed creature. "Ambassador," said Vexani, the Signan representative, her energy field pulsing with worried colors. "Perhaps you misunderstood the scope of the threat. 2 million ships is not a small number." Eva sipped her coffee from a thermal cup. "I understood. 2 million is a lot of ships." "Then surely you see the wisdom in evacuation," pressed Counselor Mork. "Your people could start new colonies in the Outer Rim. Many systems there are suitable for your biology. And what happens when the Forlag decide they want those systems, too?" Eva asked. "Do we run again? How many times do we keep running until there's nowhere left to go?" The question seemed to puzzle them. It was a variable they had never considered. When the session resumed, Eva made a formal request for all military intelligence on the Forlag Ascendancy. The response was immediate confusion. "Military intelligence?" repeated Archon Vex. "I'm afraid I do not understand the term." "Information about their weapons," Eva explained patiently. "Ship designs, battle tactics, command structure. Anything that might help us fight them." The Assembly's chief information officer, a floating jellyfish-like being named Quandar, activated the main display. Holographic images filled the air. "We have extensive cultural data on the Forlag Ascendancy," Quandar said. "Their art, literature, philosophy, and social customs are well documented. We also have complete historical records of their territorial expansion and administrative policies." Eva studied the images. Beautiful artwork, complex writing systems, detailed maps of ancient trade routes. Nothing useful for combat planning. "What about their ships?" she asked. "Weapon capabilities, shield strengths, engine specifications?" Quandar looked confused. "We have aesthetic analysis of their vessel designs. Their ships follow classical geometric principles and show advanced artistic sensibilities. But nothing about how they fight." "Fight?" Quandar's translation matrix seemed to struggle with the word. "I have records of their expansion, but it was always peaceful. Other species simply submitted." Eva felt a chill run down her spine. "They never faced resistance." "Resistance to what?" asked Vex. "A superior civilization approaches. The logical response is acceptance. Why would anyone resist progress?" Eva realized the full, terrifying scope of the problem. These species weren't just peaceful. They had no concept of military conflict at all. War was so alien to them that they couldn't even think in strategic terms. "Let me try a different approach," Eva said. "Do you have any information about Forlag weaknesses? Things they struggle with? Problems they've had?" The council members exchanged glances. Finally, Vexani spoke. "Their literature suggests they have philosophical debates about resource allocation. And some of their poetry deals with themes of loneliness and isolation." Eva rubbed her temples. This was hopeless. During the next break, she contacted Earth again, this time directly to Fleet Admiral Eris Thorne, head of the Sol Defense Command. "Admiral," Eva said, "we have a situation." Thorne's face appeared on the small screen. She was a compact woman in her 50s with graying hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "I got your preliminary report. 2 million ships sounds like a significant problem." "It gets worse," Eva replied. "The Galactic Assembly has no military intelligence. They don't even understand the concept of armed resistance. As far as they're concerned, we're committing elaborate suicide." Thorne nodded grimly. "What's our timeline?" 30 days until the Forlag reach the outer systems. Maybe 45 until they get to Sol." "Understood. I'm mobilizing everything we have. How much support can we expect from the Assembly?" Eva looked back toward the chamber, where the alien representatives were now diligently planning humanity's refugee resettlement. "Honestly, probably none. They think we're insane." "Then we do this alone," Thorne said, her voice like flint. "Send me everything the Assembly has on these Forlag. Even their cultural data, their poetry, anything." When Eva returned to the chamber, she found them making evacuation plans for humanity. They had divided human space into sectors and assigned different species to help. "We have prepared temporary housing for your population on 17 different worlds," Mork announced proudly. The Kthar have generously offered to preserve samples of your genetic material and cultural artifacts. Eva stared at him. You're planning our extinction as a species. Not extinction, corrected Vex gently. Preservation. Your people will live on, just not in your current territories. Scattered across the galaxy as refugees, Eva said flatly. Never able to return home. Home is where you make it, replied a Lyran counselor. We have moved our civilization 12 times in our history. It is the way of the universe. Eva stood up slowly. All around her, dozens of species watched with sympathetic expressions. They genuinely believed they were helping. I appreciate your offers, she said carefully. But humanity isn't accepting them. Ambassador, Vexani floated closer, her energy field shifting to calming blue colors. Perhaps your people need time to process this. The decision to abandon one's birth world is never easy. We're not abandoning anything, Eva said firmly. We're going to fight. But you cannot win, Mork said, his voice full of genuine concern. Your entire fleet has maybe a few hundred ships. The mathematics are clear. Maybe, Eva replied. But we're still going to try. The session ended. The assembly would continue their evacuation preparations. Humanity would continue their war preparations. As Eva left the chamber, Archon Vex approached her one last time. Ambassador, he said quietly, I have sent a message to the Forlag fleet. I told them that one species wishes to discuss terms rather than evacuate. Eva looked at him sharply. What kind of terms? Surrender terms, Vex replied sadly. Perhaps they will be merciful if humanity submits willingly. Eva shook her head. Cancel that message, Archon. But surely. Cancel it. Eva repeated, her voice hard as diamond. If the Forlag want to talk to humanity, they can do it after we meet their fleet in battle. Vex's crystal form dimmed with sadness. I will remember your species fondly, Ambassador. Eva smiled grimly. Don't worry about remembering us yet, Archon. This story isn't over. The Sol system had never seen such activity. Every shipyard, every orbital platform, every factory was working at maximum capacity. Fleet Admiral Eris Thorne stood on the command deck of the dreadnought UES Indomitable, watching the organized chaos. Admiral, called Lieutenant Commander Jackson. Updates from the outer colonies. Mars shipyards have completed modifications on 12 more vessels. Europa Station is sending their entire security fleet. Total count? Thorne asked. 347 ships that can fight, Jackson replied. Another 150 support vessels. The numbers are not getting any better. Thorne studied the tactical display. Outnumbered over 5,000 to 1. The mathematics were brutal. On the other side of the galaxy, Eva was having her own challenges. But she had found a sliver of hope. She sat with representatives from 3 fringe species who had shown interest in helping. Commander Creed of the Alaran Defense Corps was first. His people maintained a small military force for asteroid mining and rescue. We can provide medical supplies, Creed said, and repair facilities for your damaged vessels. Next was Engineer Prime Zixel of the Technical Union. Her species were master builders. We cannot provide weapons, Zixel said, but we can offer manufacturing capacity. If you provide designs, we can build whatever you need. The third was the most unusual. Captain Velter of the Nomad Fleets, a species of wolf-like avian nomads. My clan has agreed to help, Velter said, showing sharp teeth. We have no love for empires that claim territory. What can you offer? Eva asked. Knowledge, Velter smiled. We have been traveling this galaxy for thousands of years. We know things about the old Forlag ascendancy that the Assembly has forgotten. Eva leaned forward. This was it. The first piece of useful military intelligence. What kind of things? The Forlag were not just conquerors, Velter explained. They were perfectionists. They believe in absolute order. Complete control. Their fleets always attack in precise, geometric formations. Their commanders follow rigid battle plans. Eva felt a spark of hope. Rigid how? They do not adapt well to chaos, Velter said. When faced with unexpected tactics or random events, they become confused. My ancestors fought them once, long ago. We survived by being unpredictable. Eva immediately relayed this to Admiral Thorne. Back in the Sol system, Thorne gathered her senior staff. We can't fight them ship to ship, she told them. We can't match their firepower. We need to be smarter. Velter's intelligence is the key. They expect order. We will give them chaos. The strategy began to emerge. not a single defensive line at Earth. It would be a series of delaying actions, fought across a dozen systems. Hit and run. Guerrilla warfare in space. Use asteroid fields, gas giants, stellar phenomena. Turn the environment into a weapon. The assembly, meanwhile, had offered to evacuate all human children under the age of 18 to safe worlds. I think it's a good idea, Eva told Thorne. If we lose, at least some part of humanity survives. Thorne agreed. The evacuation began. It was heartbreaking, but it had an unexpected effect on the human fleet. Knowing their children were safe, the soldiers and sailors became even more determined. They now had nothing left to lose. The final piece of the plan fell into place. Working with Zixel's technical union, human scientists had been developing new weapons. Not traditional cannons or missiles, area denial systems, self-guiding minefields, automated defense platforms disguised as asteroids, traps designed to turn empty space into a nightmare for an advancing fleet that expected an orderly battle. 20 days until the Forlag reached human space. 20 days to prepare for an impossible war. Eva sent a final message to the assembly. Humanity thanks you for your support with medical aid and civilian evacuation. We understand your position on military assistance. When this is over, we hope our species can continue working together. Archon Vex responded personally. Ambassador, please reconsider. It is not too late to choose evacuation over extinction. Eva's reply was short. Archon, extinction was never an option. We'll see you after the battle. The Forlag Ascendancy was about to learn something that no species in the galaxy had ever taught them. Sometimes, the smaller force wins. Not because they're stronger, but because they refuse to surrender. The battle for human survival was about to begin. 20 days until the Forlag reached human space. 20 days to prepare for an impossible war. Eva sent a final message to the assembly. Humanity thanks you for your support with medical aid and civilian evacuation. We understand your position on military assistance. When this is over, we hope our species can continue working together. Archon Vex responded personally. Ambassador, please reconsider. It is not too late to choose evacuation over extinction. Eva's reply was short. Archon, extinction was never an option. We'll see you after the battle. The Forlag Ascendancy was about to learn something that no species in the galaxy had ever taught them. Sometimes, the smaller force wins. Not because they're stronger, but because they refuse to surrender. The battle for human survival was about to begin.